All right, welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm proud to welcome all of you to the programming experience track. Everybody should have some programming experience, and I'm hoping that you all have Android Studio installed. If you are somewhat experienced, then I want to mention that Nav, his team in Montreal is doing an advanced study jam. They're starting on Wednesday, and you can find them on the GDG communities site. Look them up and RSV. Going a little too slow. And if we're going a little too fast, the GDG New York City is having a beginner track. It started last Wednesday, but if you got Android Studio installed, you can catch up. You can watch the recording from last Wednesday. So Wednesday's a busy day. And yep, Nav, thank you for sharing the link. So here we are. I'm hoping that you all can commit to 4 Mondays. 90 minutes on Mondays is our community time. And here's a rough outline of what we're going to look at tonight and over the next 4 sessions. And hopefully, if folks are successful, on October 11th, we will have a contest and get you all showing off your own code instead of just listening to me or the session leaders. The idea here is to get recognized. If you are doing the study jams and you go to the developer site for Android and the CodeLab page, you can see the nano degree and the certifications. That's credibility that'll help you to break in if you want to take up Android and become a professional developer doing mobile with all of us. I went backward. Okay, so our learning objectives for the course. I'd like to help you learn the essentials of Kotlin programming. I switched over from Java to Kotlin, and it was an easy exchange. It was an easy bridge for me. If you have object-oriented experience, that will help a lot. The Code Labs will take you through to building a bunch of different Android apps. And we're hoping that on the 11th, you can show us your own stuff. As we go through, you should be able to pick up some of the best practices. And we will have slides and recordings for you to review what we're going over and for you to explore and learn more. So we want to build community. We want you to get through the training with support from peers, from others in the group. That shortener didn't seem to work very well. So if you check the chat, there's a better link than the short one that you see here. The labs are all from the Google Android developer website where you find the documentation, SDK downloads. Take your time, go at your own pace. The more you put in, the more you'll get out of it. We're hoping that you will decide to create an app to demo and share in the last session for prizes. We're going to have a raffle prize, a door prize every day. Every 4 sessions we'll have a prize. And if you stay to the end, that's how you can get into the door prize. Tonight, we're going to raffle off a Chromecast. The certificate of completion. I would love to send one of these to you. So that's going to come to the folks who go through all of the sessions, show up at the session number 4, and hopefully do a demo. A demo isn't required for the certificate, but we'd love to send you one of these. And logistics. So I want to mention that we do have a code of conduct. It's documented on the community site. Just be excellent to each other, be respectful, do unto others. It's exactly that kind of thing. And it may be that somebody doesn't realize they're hurting your feelings or being unkind. So you can stand up for yourself. You can stand up for someone else who might be getting, uncomfortable. The plan. So 90 minutes tonight, 90 minutes for 4 nights. It's time to share and see one another, work at your own pace through the Study Jam curriculum, and Pixel Buds. That's the plan for the big demo winner in the end. I hope all of that makes sense. You can put questions in the chat for me, and maybe we'll be able to open it up for all of the participants to have their cameras and their mics. I don't know. I'm just waiting a little. I think we can do that with the number of people that we have. Social media. So we've got the Slack team. The link is in the chat. We are on Twitter. Our group is on Twitter with Boston Android. If you share a post to your social media, to Twitter, to Instagram, and use the Android Study Jams hashtag, you can also tag at GDG. I forgot to mention LinkedIn. I do a lot more on LinkedIn than I do on Twitter, and they also like hashtags there. So great. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad that you all could make it. Let's dive in and just talk about Kotlin a little bit. Kotlin is a modern programming language, and it helps developers to be more productive. It is expressive and concise. It's intentional. It helps to have null defined for safer code so that the $1 million mistake isn't happening with Kotlin development. It works very nicely with Java, and it compiles down to Java bytecode. And it has some really great structured concurrency called coroutines, which is a key benefit. Asynchronous program structures have been a problem for mobile, and the coroutines that are coming through with Kotlin have been much easier to read and understand than some of the previous architectures for threading that I've seen. So I got on Android, and it was early days when the first phone came out on T-Mobile. So I transitioned from Objective-C when I first finished studying computer science over to Java, which was a new language at Sun Microsystems, where I was working. I've come to Boston by way of Silicon Valley, and I'm originally from Connecticut. In Silicon Valley, I did get an opportunity to meet Steve Jobs, Scott McNealy. I was in the room with him. I met Sergey Brin at Stanford University. But this isn't really about me. So we're going to talk about Android and Java. So I got on in 2008, and I can hardly believe how long I've been doing Android. And the one thing that I wanted to say is to be intentional when you're making decisions about your career. So I got into object-oriented programming, and when I switched over to Java, it was kind of almost by accident, and then it was so tremendously successful. From there, I was pretty intentional. I went to work on a product that was intended for feature phones, and then I decided to stay in mobile, and I jumped on the Android bandwagon early. So see what you like, make decisions for yourself. Don't let your career just happen. Be intentional. And we're teaching Kotlin because Android is Kotlin first now. So I figured I'd take us through a couple of slides and views of the Kotlin language. So anybody have a misunderstanding about what main is going to do here? And, this could be called with a Java VM, which is, Java is automatically going to call main, right? And yeah, that's going to print and output hello world. So it looks a little different from other programming languages you might have seen. Java typically puts the return type at the beginning of a function, whereas Kotlin has it there on the end with parameters coming first. The parameters are named, and there are no real primitive types. Everything is int with a capital I. Anyway. Kotlin has this kind of cool return type of unit, which is, it can be almost anything. This is important, right? Var and val. So var is a variable that can change as your code executes, whereas a val is constant. It's not going to change after you set what it's equal to. There are also constants that are defined in the language, but variables that you might have called final in Java now become vals. And it's a little more concise. It's just as intentional. And there's, some new conditional logic. There's some new structures that you can use in Kotlin that kind of do the same thing but different and a little bit easier to read. What I wanted to point out here are just the dash greater than. That comes up a lot with lambdas and switch. The when is a lot like a switch and a case, if you're familiar with Java programming. So the two sides of the slide here are equivalent, where, well, I'm not sure that's the right way to describe it, but it would be, if x equals 0, if x equal 1. Anyway, we're just kind of taking a high-level tour here. Here's some more examples. Simple Kotlin, how you would declare a class, how you would instantiate it. There's no call to new. You don't need that when you're writing code with Kotlin. All of your semicolons at the end of the line can just disappear into the ether. I ran into some code the other day that had a semicolon at the end, and that was just to put two lines onto one line and separate it so that it would parse correctly without the line break. So you are dropping your semicolons, but don't forget your line breaks. You can't just kind of go off to the right. And collections. So there's all sorts of nifty shortcuts for lists and arrays. The one thing that is interesting is that square brackets are also gone. You only get object collections. Yeah. And the empty list would be something like list of with no values uh, in the parameters in the parens. But the other cool thing is that you don't have to specify the type for your val or your var. So collections are usually usually declared as mutable and declared as vals. So they're only assigned addressing the heap once, so they're vals, but you can make changes to the list along the way, and that would mean it's a mutable list rather than a list of 1, 2, 3. So in this case, the num list can't really be changed, but you could make it an immutable list of 1, 2, 3, and it would be something where you could add and remove the contents of that list. I figured it might be a good time to open up Kotlin Cones. You can maybe open a new tab and take a look at Kotlin Cones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the study jam URL right here. And that is where all of the Android Study Jam content has a home page. And I'm going to see if I can switch my tab over to the Kotlin Cones tab. All right, so Kotlin Cones is kind of this really fun place to learn Kotlin. And it has some of the basic syntax and questions for you. So now, it has a task for you over on the right, and you can run through different, I didn't implement it. So to do is an empty structure that Kotlin will let you add in, and it'll parse it. You can compile with it. It's kind of the same as using a to-do comment in Android Studio. So here what I can do is update it to return OK. Whoops. Putting this on the fly. And then if I run it again, that should work. And I can also use the show answer and hide the answer. Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. So what I was trying to show you was really how to get through cones. And I thought maybe we'd take a couple of minutes until 8 o'clock if you guys want to open a tab and play with cones and find your way around a little bit. I'm not sure if you started it already. The other thing I thought we might do is let folks have a minute to ask any questions or say hello in the chat. So I think the guidance on the curriculum is that for this week and next week, these first 3 sets of cones, the classes, the conventions, and the introduction, that would be good exercise for you to start building some muscle memory with Kotlin. And this is all outside of Studio, right? So this is strictly working with the language and not so much building an Android app per se. And Kotlin is being used on the server side with the Java servers. It's part of a multi-platform development effort coming out of JetBrains, where you can use Kotlin to create logic that will run on a Java VM, on an Android phone, on an iPhone, different platforms, write once, run anywhere, if you've heard that before. Samina, the recording that I'm making will eventually get up to YouTube. So far, I think we've used the Kotlin Office Hours YouTube channel to post Boston Android recordings. But after tonight, I'm intending to put a new Boston Android channel up on YouTube. Sealed classes and data classes are some of the really, yes, Megan, right on the money. Sealed classes and data classes are some of the really valuable improvements that Kotlin makes over a lot of the boilerplate Java declarations. One of the things that people love about Kotlin is that getters and setters don't have to be typed out. They are built in. When you declare a Kotlin class, you get a lot of those getters and setters for free. And you can make a setter private. You can do a lot of really cool stuff to avoid a lot of the copy and paste that was always part of Java Beans. And then extension functions. I think this is one of my favorite things, is that I can add a method to a class, even if it's not part of an API or a pre-existing SDK. I can take that class and add my own function with the parameters that I need to work on that type. So these are some of the things that you'll be working with that I think are really valuable features of the language. All right, cool. So I'm going to go back to the slide deck for a minute, and then I'm going to go over to the GetLab pages. So that was Cones, Kotlin Cones. It's a really cool way to just build your chops with Kotlin. I think I need to spend more time playing with the site. I did get started there when in the early days. Hoping that we can track questions and help one another on the Study Jam 2021 Slack channel. But don't be afraid to, speak up here and reach out while we're here. All right, so now the other button on that page, the Study Jams page, is to start the course, right? So if we get started with these code labs, then what we want to do is have a developer profile set up and start collecting some badges. So if we look at the class here, does somebody have, an app idea that they've already started on? Are they getting into it to build a specific app, or anything you want to share is cool with me. Uh-oh, you keep taking the focus off of my window. Here we are. All right, so these are a couple of the apps, screenshots from a couple of the apps that are part of the Code Lab. I want to just talk for a minute about Android Studio. Hopefully everybody went through, got it going pretty easily. The AVD to set up the emulator, and the USB cable to an Android device, or even setting up your Android device to connect to Android Studio over Wi-Fi. Some of that is covered in the Code Lab. Has anybody gotten into trouble setting up their emulator, or have people been able to get set with Studio to exercise code? Cones is not running inside of Studio. I want to check and make sure everybody's good for running code inside of Studio. You can use the chat if you have any problems. We're here tonight, and we'll be on the Slack channel too. The emulator, the HaxM from Intel, is the one that I would recommend, especially if you are on a Mac with Intel Silicon or on a desktop with Intel CPU. If you're not running on an Intel CPU, then some of the other AVD profiles instead of HaxM are probably just the same, just as good for you. I did want to kind of touch on layouts. XML layouts are definitely a big part of Android programming. There is some new technology where you can do more of a Swift UI, more of a declarative programming, but that's still new code. And if you do get into Android development, you're probably going to need to work with existing code. It's been around 10 years or more, and XML is what you're going to do. Now, there's a layout called the constraint layout, and a lot of the samples and a default project will probably send you into the constraint layout. I find that editor a little bit difficult to work with. So hopefully running through the code labs and working with us, you'll get a hot tip, which is to start with linear layout, which is, you can wrap your mind around the linear layout. You can grok the linear layout very easily. It either goes across or it goes down. You tell it which way, and the views are rendered in order, top to bottom or left to right. It is kind of left to right and then down, but you'll have a lot easier time trying to learn the linear layout than you would constraint layout. Constraint layout is wonderful. It's very powerful, and you can do things in it that wouldn't be available when you're nesting other layout types. but it's probably not the place to start. Views. So a layout has a root, like the linear layout, which is called a view group. Linear layout and relative layout are where you want to start for the view groups. And they aren't going to show up on the screen at all unless you put a view inside them. So we're going to be working first with text views, which, as you might expect, are going to take strings and show them on your screen. Image view will render an image, and there's a lot of ways to set an image view to have an image in it. And then buttons are where we'll start to set up click listeners and start interacting with users. So there's a listener pattern. It might be familiar to a lot of the Java developers. And on-click is kind of the paradigm for Android development. The other view groups mentioned here, the frame layout is kind of cool. If you're doing a scrolling view, for example, a typical scrolling view has to have a single view group, a single top level view group, and frame layout can serve as a wrapper for a scroll view a lot of the time. It's a little tricky to work with because everything shows up at the top left. No matter what you say the views are supposed to do, they're going to be rendered at the top left of the screen. And you have to do a lot of work to get them to stack any other way. The constraint layout, like I said, is very powerful. It's a newer view group, and it has its own editor. If you have experience as a designer, perhaps you would adapt to the constraint layout very easily. But we'll start with the beautiful linear layout. So when you have a linear layout, you're going to say whether it's horizontal or vertical. You're going to throw some views in it. You're going to probably have those views use the entire width of the screen, and then they'll just show up like rows, as you can see in this example, in this kind of illustration. So wrap content and match parent are some terms that you're going to need to learn to use the layout width and the layout height. Every view is going to want to have width and height, and view groups want them too. So typically your view group is going to have the match parent tags, while the views inside of a view group are going to be wrap content, so that they don't take up the whole screen using match parent. And you're going to start video looking at activities. So a basic screen of information, right? Your activity is kind of your main. If you're used to doing Java development, main is the first thing that runs, and that's how your activity is. Your resources are going to be the strings that are going to be rendered and shown to the user, the images that are displayed inside of an activity, the icon that will represent your app on the Android operating system so that users can start the app, that's going to go into the resources folder. And that is separated from the source code. So the layout files that are in XML, they separate the view hierarchy and the view declarations from the code. And I learned model view controller early in my career. a lot of those design patterns have evolved. But I find that, separating the views from the model of the data and from the controller, that changes the representation of the data, changes the views on screen. Defining layouts in XML really works well with that model view controller pattern. And I think that the creation of Android and XML layouts came out of the acceptance and popularity of that model view controller design pattern. We're moving into declarative layouts with Compose, where views are coming back into the logic, back into the source code, but it's all good. Things just have a way of coming around again. The Android manifest is also in XML. The manifest tells the app what's in the app, what kind of activities are there, what permissions the app is going to need. It's got all kinds of information about the contents of the application and Gradle files. So the build system is Gradle, and it's interesting. It's pretty good. It's very flexible. You're going to end up going into your build projects and your build.gradle files. There's a Gradle file for each module. There's a Gradle file for the whole project, and the settings XML file, which you can use to open any app, is also in Gradle. So I'm going to honor Michael's request to view the speaker notes, but actually it's because I'm kind of done with the slides for a little while. So I'm going to share my screen. And then I thought I would take a minute to go to Android Studio. So in Android Studio, I just wanted to walk through it a little bit with you. So I got a build failure because I don't have the SDK that's declared for the defaults of this project. This project is from 2020, and I probably only have Android version 28 instead of 26. So what I might want to do is take a look at the Gradle script. And in the Gradle script for the project is the Gradle version. No, it's not here. It's actually in the Gradle, the build.gradle for the app module, where the Android version is declared. Let's see. Inside of app is the build.gradle. So that can get confusing. I'm going to own up to the fact that two build.gradles for the project, or actually build.gradle for every project, can get a little bit confusing. Oh, that's true. Let me go into presentation mode. Let me see. I just switched over to Arctic Fox, so hopefully I won't have too much trouble finding things. Arctic Fox is the latest version of Android Studio. So here I am, enter presentation mode. Okay, let's see. What is going on? My clicks aren't registering very well. View appearance, enter presentation mode. Sorry about that. Does that help? All right, cool. So let's see. This is the second of the two. This is the Android app module build.gradle, and it's going to have the compile version and the target version. Minimum of 15 is old news. I think there's a new minimum if you want to publish to the Play Store. You have to have a newer version of the Android SDK as your target. And then if I make that change, oh, so it's installing 2602 for me. That's okay. I got room. And when I have 2602, it'll work. Ah, there you are. I've been trying to, that's it. Okay, so let's see. Presentation mode kind of puts me into a single tab of what I would normally do in Android Studio. It gives you a lot of helpful messages. Android Studio actually, it's kind of funny. It'll write the code for you a lot of the time. The autocomplete features are kind of amazing. And I hope that you'll come to appreciate it. I have another tip for you, but I want to get out of presentation mode to come back here. So if we look at the menu, there are some preferences, and I want to open that up just for a second. If you can see these plugins in the preferences, you can set up plugins that might translate JSON into objects or sealed classes. There's all kinds of wonderful plugins on the JetBrains marketplace. The one that I wanted to bring up is actually this Atom Material Icons and the Material Design plugin, this Material Theme UI. I find these material themes very helpful. It'll give you a higher contrast view. You can customize your development environment with colors that you like. And so I thought I would mention it because I didn't know it was there for a long time, but I found that I really enjoy my time in the studio a lot better now that I have the Material Theme UI. Okay? Okay. So there's that. Going back to presentation mode. My problem with presentation mode, I'm going to leave it alone, is I wanted to show you the navigation panel. So if I blow this window up to full screen, maybe it'll be visible. Up here at the top, you can see Android. And this view of the contents of your project is very helpful. So you can see the Gradle scripts, and it'll show you manifests if you have multiple modules, if you have like a watch app and a phone app and a TV app all in one project repository, all in one repo or project, then you would have multiple manifests and you could access them more easily. You can jump straight to the resources folder from the Android view. And that's how you're going to get to your layouts. The MIP map is for your app icons. Another view where I spend a lot of my time and I switch these tabs pretty liberally is project. So when I look at project, I can navigate the source tree in a way that corresponds more to the file system that is under, you know, in the file system, I'm saving my project to disk, and I can navigate through with the file viewer application. So the project view is the one that corresponds to the file system, and it's a good way of navigating through packages. And packages in Kotlin are pretty much similar to Java packages, the way that you might expect as a Java developer, or even, you know, other object-oriented languages. And yeah, Nav, it's the material icons and the material UI, the material theme UI. The icons go with the material theme UI. The material theme UI high contrast, that's my favorite, but sometimes I do go Darkula. So that was just a quick look at Android Studio. Over here is, like I said, the project tab. Logcat is where you're going to get printout messages. You can build and access the debugger. These there's an elephant button here. I've highlighted it. I'm sure it's terrible to try and see it, but when you make changes to the Gradle, that's where we started, right? When you make changes to the Gradle, what you want to do is sync the project with the Gradle files, and now I should be able to compile with version 28 instead of downloading and using 2602. So these are just a few things. I don't know. They're kind of common pitfalls or time suck if you want to try to get comfortable with Studio faster. Maybe that will help. Then the other thing I wanted to do after a quick look at Studio was to just open the study jam page. Okay, so we opened Kotlin Cones. We got to look at that. And now what I'd like to do is open the course and start the course. And you guys, we've got 33 people. If my helpers, Nav, Chris, Linda, if you guys could let the attendees in on our presentation mode, I think they should be able to, you know, speak up and share their video if they want to. And we can just kind of start the course and start going through the GetLab independently on your own screen. And if you have questions that come up, you can go ahead and, you know, ask questions out loud using the microphone or continue to use the chat. And we're going to start at Unit 1. We log in, we explore. Unit 1, build your first app. Again, explore. Maybe some of you have started. Hopefully you can skip through the install Android Studio because you already did it. But if you didn't, I'm going to go to the next GetLab. The part that I thought was important here was we talked about Gradle, and this is a pretty good overview about Gradle, and then the emulator, because the emulator does kind of trip people up. So I'm going to go through, I guess I'm the only person who can add people to be able to share their camera and mic.
Make me a host, I can take care of it.
Okay, great, thank you.
You have to click the 3 dots and make me a host, and I will take care of everything.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks, Linda.
I
Oh.
second that. Hi, Liz. Great session. I'm happy to join and help. If you make me a host, I'll turn on to help Linda. Thank you.
Great. I didn't know we could have more than one. I'm still learning. And while we get started, maybe folks could, from the GDG team, could introduce themselves. Chris and Nav are going to be hosting one of the sessions. Jin is my co-organizer for Boston GDG. He's going to lead the last session. The next session is on Roman. Roman, do you want to introduce yourself?
Definitely. Thank you very much again, Elizabeth. Just watching you again, dropping dimes and sharing your knowledge is such a delight. So just wanted to say thank you everyone for joining. I'll be leading the next session next Monday, so please stay tuned for that. We're definitely going to have a lot of fun on that. I just wanted to remind you, we're going to have a raffle today. I'm going to be dropping the link for the form so people can just put in their names and emails, and then we can reach out to you if you get to win at the end. So thank you, guys.
Linda and Anna are also really great GDG leaders. I'm always glad to see them here. They're part of the Women Tech Makers program. If you haven't heard of Women Tech Makers, that's another homework assignment for you. You can look up Women Tech Makers and get in on that action. It's kind of an exciting community, and they've recently started a new campaign to highlight women of color who are in the community. I love it. So, right, I did want to point out the task 6 about getting code running. I'm hoping that you guys are all way past that already. The code labs have little quizzes, and I'm going to encourage you to take those quizzes to earn your badges. It's a great way to go. And I wanted to jump to this page where it's add and update image resources. That's the resources folder. That's where you're going to find a lot of XML. So I thought I would just kind of jump to this task. And, you know, folks can work on their own. I don't mean to distract you by talking so much. So I'm noticing here on this task that you can get the dice roller. It mentions the dice roller app, and I have that kind of page on GitHub open. If you're not familiar with Git, if you haven't used GitHub, so Rajesh, the Kotlin Cones is a great place to start. And the Code Lab is hosted on the Google Android developer site. The Cones is hosted on GetLabs. They're both really great. You can do them in parallel. Thanks, Raj. So I wanted to also jump over to GitLab, which is where you're going to get the code for the code labs that are on the Android developer site, yeah? And what I did, and there's a lot of different ways to do this, Android Studio has a great hook where you can just grab the URL and import a project. This particular set of apps on GitLab is actually more than one program. So what I did for myself was to download the zip, and then using the zip, what I can do is import the project by saying file open, and then I can find it on my disk inside of that zip and open one at a time. So I opened Hello Toast Challenge 2. It's easy to open Hello Toast. And another way that you can do that, working with Studio, a shortcut that took me a while to figure out, but I'll share with you, is to just go over to the Finder. If you've downloaded a zip, you've unarchived the zip, now you can look, and this file, settings.gradle, is your front door to your project. And there's not a lot in it, but if you double click on it, it will automatically open a new window in Studio and show you the contents of the project. And just for grins, I'm going to take you to the settings.gradle file. See, there's like nothing in it, but it is your front door and your easy way to open an Android project from the file system. I'm on Mac, you're on Windows, it's the same difference, right? So this is your time to play, ask questions, tell me how it's going, share with one another, all right? In about 15 minutes, we're gonna switch over and head to our door prize. I like calling it a door prize because everything's virtual. It's the same way that settings is a front door. So I'm just gonna go through the tabs. I'll when I get the recording up for tonight's session, I will plan to have a PDF of the slides there, and I'll try to include the speaker notes for you. Kotlin Cones. This is a great place to start. It's a really nice, interactive, fast-paced tutorial that'll get you up to speed with Kotlin in no time at all. And that muscle memory is really helpful. My current position, I'm working on hardware. I'm diving a little bit into the Android open source project and looking under the covers at the Android operating system. It's kind of fun, but most of that is still in Java. And so I'm going back and forth between Java and Kotlin, and sometimes I trip a little bit on the transitions, and I try to type Kotlin into my Java classes, and I try to type, I forgot to mention, there's a really wonderful feature in Android Studio, and I'll let you find it on your own. It's very easy to find. It will translate Java into Kotlin. Now, it doesn't always do a great job. It might not give you the best Kotlin, but it's still a real time saver and a very nice feature of the IDE. So GitHub is linked in the code labs themselves. That's where you're going to find the stubs and the sample projects and the solutions. I mean, if you want to jump ahead, great. You can check your work there. It's all good. And then I opened a few code labs. It's a little annoying that they open a new tab for every one, but you just open the new tab, close the old one. It's all piece of cake. You don't have to have 4 of them open at one time. Oh, that's right. This slide is reminding me. There's another very cool feature in Studio that it took me a while to learn, or actually, I may have learned it right away. I was like there when they added it and upgraded Studio so I could get it. But you can say file new, what is it? New import sample. And so now you can look at all of this wonderful example code that's provided with the IDE. And it can get really complicated when you're talking about animations, you know, Room, RX Java. Room is, you know, kind of a SQL database API kit in newer versions of Android. Architecture components are something that we intend to cover in some of the later sessions. But yeah, it's real cool where you can just kind of here's, you know, a basic sample for writing unit tests. And everybody loves unit tests, right? So now I need to give it a name. It tells me where it's putting it. This is my default directory. Sorry if it's hard to see, but it's my project location. The GitHub URL is the sample. They use GitHub a lot. The project location is like a default setting in your preferences, the directory on the file system. And then I finish and boom, now I have the sample project for unit tests and I can adapt it. So the import sample, let me show you again on the menu. File, new, file open. No, that wasn't it. Sorry. File new, import sample. Ay. Isn't it in here? Isn't it under new? It was just there. I don't know why it doesn't work twice, but there's a link. There's a link, and you can also Google Android samples, GitHub Android samples, and that'll take you there. If we come up here to GitHub, I think I can probably do a search from here. on the GitHub window. Oh, it's looking for code. Maybe because I'm not signed in. Google samples on GitHub, Android on GitHub is where I'm going. So here, Sunflower, we saw the Sunflower project, or you probably didn't see it very well because it's small on your screen, but it's kind of a nice convenience to be able to install these sample projects and just bring up code that you might need in your project, right? So now if I go in here and I look at the listing, let's go to presentation mode. Actually, I didn't really want that. I wanted to make the no. Anyway. Oh, you can make your class window full size and hide and show the project tree. Yeah, so the basic sample has 2 nodes or 2 leaves on the tree for classes, and then the unit tests for those classes. So if I'm working on a unit test in my own project, I can have this sample window open and my project open and kind of do that sourdough, pinch a bit of code from the sample and paste it into my project. Thanks, Josh. I think those instructions are from 2020 before Android 11 even was another thing that I like to do is to use the window menu and split the editor to have 2 windows open. So now I've got the email validator on the bottom and the email validator on the top. Not sure if that makes sense, but let's see.
It is possible to. Okay, you made the
presentation mode kind of didn't really do exactly what I had hoped because it hides the tabs. But you can see this is line 1 of the second tab. I don't know. It's interesting. Kind of want the presentation mode just to zoom, and it's changing the appearance of the window and showing me only the editor window, which is helpful, but I don't use it this way much. Another nice shortcut in the IDE is that you can kind of use these markers on the top and the bottom to expand the curly braces. And you can even use that for moving code. If you want to reorganize the outline of your code, you can move a test up to the top that you're working on, or I'm not sure if that's helpful, but sometimes when you're working with legacy code and there's a God class that has 5,000 lines, you might want to move a whole method or a whole case and switch. That's been my experience recently. So questions. Sample code for the Android code labs. Yeah, I navigated away from that. There's actually 2 trees on the Google Developer Training. There's, I think, 2 Android Kotlin Fundamentals starter apps in here. But I went to the Android Fundamentals apps v2. Does that make sense? The account is Google Developer Training. The root node is Google Developer Training. And the Android Fundamentals apps v2 is the one where I found the Hello Toast challenge. Now, it made me kind of laugh because Toast has been deprecated and everybody's using snack bars now. You're noticing that the instructions for creating and running your first app are a little bit out of date. So yeah, it's hard to keep up. That's one thing that I did want to share about mobile. It ain't easy. It's hard. It moves fast. There are 2 major releases a year. It's hard to keep up. But it's nice to have a group to fall back on, and you can trade nodes and share information, and that can help you to keep up. So I'm going to stop sharing. I wanted to invite folks to turn on their cameras, to say hello, to get in the picture. I wanted to maybe take a group photo. And then, Roman, you're going to help with the wheel of names. Hi, Roman. Nah, it's good to see everyone. Nice. I like your shirt, Roman. That is very cool. So we've got a cool widget that's been developed for the GDG. It's called the Wheel of Names, if you haven't seen it before. It's going to be how we pick the winner of tonight's door prize. What door? I don't know. There's a door back there. But yeah, we've got a Chromecast. Google was generous. They gave us a budget, and we're going to use that to maybe have some great prizes along the way. I was thinking that if you come with me all the way through the end of session 4, I will send you some stickers, our little Boston Android Beanpot sticker. If you win a prize, you got to share your snail mail address with us. I know there's all kind of privacy concerns, but that's the thing, you know, how are we going to get it to you if we don't know where you live? And I promise, and to God, that I will not share your address or personal information with anybody. No way, no how. They would have to waterboard me to get it out of me. Just kidding. It wouldn't be an issue, I think. Let's see.
So I just wanted to share, Liz, again, thank you so much for this amazing session. Again, like I said, again, please, let's give her a round of applause. Guys, you don't know how privileged you are by being in her presence. She's like royalty for Android development. So thank you again for that amazing session. I just dropped the link for the form. Please, again, we're not going to be sharing your information. This is only to reach out to you so that if in the event of you winning the Raffle prize, then we'll be able to reach out to you and send it to you. So please put your name and your email in that form. We'll reach out to you, you know, in the event that you win. So we're gonna do the wheel of names. We're gonna put all our names in there. We're going to just pick the winner, and then that should be it. Another reminder, again, this is a 4-series event. So next Monday, yours truly, I'm going to be leading the one dealing with navigation and fragments. Again, I'm also a GDG lead for GDG Lawrence. We're also going to be doing some events there, but this is, again, focused on Android development only for this session. So please make sure to tune in and to also subscribe to the other upcoming events. We have like heavy hitters like Nav. Please, let's give a +1 on Nav. He just got his GDE on Android. So congrats, Nav. That was pretty good. So again, you guys have, again, you know, the best of the best in the industry in this event. So you guys are lucky to be here. So yeah, so please drop your name in there. And then we're going to start the raffle. So we're going to just give you a few minutes for that.
Oh, the link for the, I'll get the Slack link one more time because it wasn't even Norton. I just, my URL shortener broke. Right. So I'm going to grab that link. I put it up at the beginning, and now I'm going to put it up since we've gotten closer to the end of class, because that's a great way to follow up. And I want you all to have some company even outside of our 90-minute sessions. And I want you all to be successful.
A few people already add their names to it. Truly appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll just give you probably like, you know, a minute or two more just so that you can, you know, get a chance to, you know, get your chance to get the price, the door price. And again, let me be clear. So this is, you know, US and Canada only. We gotta emphasize that piece. So
that's true.
Yeah, exactly.
We're sending it from the Google store, so it's got to be US and Canada address. But LA is okay. Don't worry about that. We're not checking your papers. LA is fine.
That's good. That's a good one. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to.
Reason it's only for the shipping issues that are all over the world. That's why the request is only from US and Canada, right, guys? Just to specify.
Some of the products can't be exported on the Play Store. I don't know all those rules, but yeah. Bongani, I think the next session, all you really need is to go through let me go back to the GetLab, the initial page, sorry. If I go back to the top level GetLab for Android, let's see.
So I'm going to be dropping the names. I'm going to be sharing my screen for the wheel of names. I'm going to be dropping the list that we have so far. So we have 21 people signed up. Let me share my screen in a second. And let me know if you guys can see it. Just
so for the next Monday, what we want you to do is to get through Unit 1 and all 5 of Unit 1. I think some of the 5 Unit 1 are going to be Romans territory. So let me get it right.
Another little bit, there are some people that are asking for the form. I just dropped it in the
sure.
We'll the names go on the form that Linda just shared the link, and then that makes it easy for us to get them into a CSV that will populate the wheel of names. and we're not sharing it with anybody. It's just for our purposes here.
Your name, Ray. So yeah, you're in. Thank you. And again, yeah, thank you for participating.
And yeah, up to it's actually Unit 1, 1, 2, 3 are the lessons for this week. And then if you want to get a head start and look at 4 and 5, that's where Roman's going to be going. So if you get started on those, you'll have some questions prepared, or he'll introduce the topics and you'll have time to work on it. Even if you only spend the 90 minutes that we have together, that'll be a head start. That'll be a good start on learning Android. All right, so drum roll.
Drum roll. Good luck, everyone. Let's hit it. I always like this part. And the winner is Jake. Congrats.
Congratulations, Jake. You are tonight's door prize winner.
We'll be reaching out to you.
Guys, what did they win?
A Chromecast off of the Google Store. No, not a new car, but it's better than a kick in the
Not a car.
Chromecast. There's a couple of things that we're planning to have for the future sessions. There's a smart home kit with a Google Mini and some smart bulbs. We'll probably have a Chromecast with a Google TV. The prizes will get better for each of the 4 weeks, and the best prize clearly is the Pixel earbuds. That's the demo winner. We'll probably have a door prize even if you don't want a demo, but yeah, I'm hoping that we'll have some folks who are interested in sharing what they've learned at the end. So yeah, we are on time. Any questions? Anybody?
Let's take the group photo. A couple of group photo. One, everybody doing the GDG signal. I promise this is not a gang signal. This is just the GDG group signal. So oh yeah, you can do that, but that looks like you're eating a hamburger. So but you can do it whichever way you feel comfortable. So you can do this. Then you can take a screenshot. Liz,
I got it. Okay, one more time. Screenshot. I'll count down. 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you. I'm going to post those on the community site too. I thank you all for coming. It's a new world trying to do this virtually, and next time. Glad that you could all make it. We'll stay in touch on the Slack channel, and yeah, good luck. Don't be shy. We'll see you again. Same bat time, same bat channel. Okay.
Thank you so much.
See you next week, y'all. Thank you very much.
Joining us.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for all.
Please, bravo. Super,
Yeah,
thank
super awesome. and
Awesome session.
informative.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great week.
You too.
I'm just letting you all sign off. Thanks, Roman.